welcome back. Today, I'm going to be talking about whether daily planning or weekly planning is for you. I personally have done both daily planning and weekly planning, and I've done both at the same time. So we're going to talk a little bit about what might be right for you. Just as a general statement, weekly planning is a really good way to be proactive about your schedule and to look at it, to look at what you have going on this week and get a sense of, wait a minute, I'm being unrealistic. I should see if I can get out of this, or I have time this week. I can push harder on some personal projects. Weekly planning is a really good way of helping you be a little more proactive about how you spend your time. Daily planning, if all you're doing every night is just writing down, what do I have to do tomorrow? That can be a little reactive. You're reacting very late to everything. Daily planning can make me feel like a ping pong ball because all I'm doing is just handling things as they come up. What do I have tomorrow? Okay, and fit it all in. How do I fit it all in? When I do daily planning, I usually use an hourly breakdown, and there are weeks that's the best I can do, and that's weeks where that's exactly where I need to be to get through what I need to get through, and that week is part of a bigger plan. It's totally fine to be reactive some of the time. It can be a really good tool for dealing with those times when you have just a lot coming at you. It can be very good for, I'm not just going to say busy seasons of life, like not the I'm in my late 40s, I have kids in high school season of life, more the season of like, okay, it's May, my kids have recitals and concerts constantly, I need to be on top of it, I have things that I need to be making sure that I'm getting done for my business and for my personal life, and I really want to sit down every night and make sure that the boxes are getting checked off. Didn't do it this season, and I wish I had. Daily planning can also be really good if you're leading up to a big event like a wedding, a week or two before, or just Saturdays before your wedding. You're going to have this fitting and that tasting, and you're going to have just a lot of little things. And so for days like that, when you're leading up to a big event and you have a lot of more things than normal and you need to just make sure everything fits in the way you think it's going to fit in, a daily plan can be really good. The basic daily plan that I use, if I'm using a daily planner, I like to use it the night before. I'm going to go a little more detail on the daily planner than I will on the weekly planner because this is probably the only time I will talk about daily planning in this series. So here is my schedule. Here is today's focus. So that's like, what's today about? Usually mom taxi, but you know, some days it's client work. What's the main thing that I need to get done? Not task, but like, what's my main, what area of my life am I focusing on today? What's for dinner? I always like to make sure I know that. I like to fill this out the night before. Hydrate. Oh, I'm so bad about filling this out. I actually do drink enough water though. Typically a daily planner page will also have a to-do list. I like to break mine into categories. Sometimes these are categorized by priority. It depends on what kind of day you're having and how you like to plan. You can categorize them by priority or I tend to categorize them more by area of my life, like family stuff, work, family stuff, business stuff, personal, whatever. On my own sheet, I have spaces for not today because there's things that will just come up as you're planning your day that you know you're not getting done, that you're going to need to write tomorrow. And gratitude, because it's always good to think about, stop and think. Well, especially when you're busy, to stop and think for a minute. This is all good. I have found for using daily pages, sometimes I have sat down a week at a time and done daily pages, and for me, that's terrible because I just forget all about it. It's so much to write down. I don't have a single visual picture of what my week looked like, and then just things start to really get ping-pongy. I will sometimes pre-write appointments and things like that, but I don't like to really fill it all out. It's really best to commit to sitting down with it like every night if you're going to do daily planning. That's the challenge of it and the beauty. And obviously the challenge of sitting down with it every night, it can get time consuming. If you look up the hashtag decorate your daily, people will sit down and decorate a planner page every single day. And if that keeps you motivated to sit down and open up your planner and that's the thing, go to it. It's not my thing. It doesn't have to be your thing. To recap, daily planning is good for really busy times when you're getting ready for a big event. Also good if you have an easier time sticking to a daily habit than a weekly habit. So sometimes when you're building a habit, it's easier just every night after I brush my teeth, I read my planner. I sit down and write in my planner. I'll be honest, sometimes, especially over the summer, I'm not doing as much weekly planning as I normally do. A lot of people plan on Sunday evenings, but I don't necessarily have something that is my absolute routine that I sit down and plan on Sunday evening. Sometimes for building a routine where there's no external cue, like, okay, I have to go to class because that's when class is, sometimes it can be good to start with a daily habit rather than a weekly habit. So that can actually sometimes for building a habit be easier. So on the weekly side, we'll look at this layout in more detail soon. A layout that I personally like to use if I'm only doing weekly planning, which is a weekly hourly layout, so that I can map out my time for the entire week. That's not the only way to do weekly planning. This way in particular, but weekly planning in general is really good for helping you see a pattern. So if you see the pattern and you're like thinking, I thought I was gonna get a lot of house cleaning done because my in-laws are coming next week and I realized that I just took a whole lot of overtime at work. You can see that more easily when you look at your whole week. The other thing that's nice about weekly layouts, I don't do this, but if you like to look back, if you want your planner to also be kind of a journal that you look back on and think like, oh, what was going on 6 months ago? What was going on 5 years ago? A daily planner would be a lot to sort through. Another thing, I don't carry very many daily pages at a time. Daily planners, if you want a bound planner that's a daily planner, it is like a phone book. And the pages themselves will be really thin because they have to be. Even if they're two-sided, they're going to be super thin in order for you to be able to carry 200 pages, 200 sheets of paper and a cover around with you. That's a lot of pages. I have a daily planner notepad, which is the same design as my daily planner pages. I sell A5 inserts for like a Filofax type of thing, but I use is really my planner pad pages, and because they're not even printed on the back. And then every time I go into my planner, I never even flip over to the back. I just always have the front side. And then if I need to write any notes to myself, I have the back to do that. To me, the daily plan is a little more disposable. You're not going to necessarily go back to it, not really giving you a long-term record. So that's a nice thing about weekly planning is you can kind of, if you want to go back and look, you can see a pattern for your whole week, but you can also kind of look back and see like, oh, the month of July in 2016 felt like this. When you can see those patterns, it's easier for you to think about changes you want to make. Not like big changes, not the lose 20 pounds changes. If you look at it and you realize, I'm exercising every day, but I'm not getting my house clean. I'm never exercising and not getting my house clean. Whatever it is, you start to see a pattern of how you're spending your time. It'll help you decide on some day-to-day changes you'll make that may add up to bigger changes. For a while, when I first started planning, a few months into planning, I would do my full weekly layout and then just pull out daily pages. Also do a daily page on days when I was really busy. And then I'm like, I'm really busy and I'm spending a ton of time writing in my planner. So I came up with a format which I call the docket. I think some of the planners at Target are a little bit more like this. You don't have a ton you're looking at. You just are writing down the highlights of your day so you know what's going on in which day. So you still do get a little bit of a sense of a pattern. It's not as in-depth of a sense as you would get from a more comprehensive weekly layout, but it gives you a sense of what's going on, and then it kind of also gives you a chance to write down to-do lists for the week instead of for the day. Always have a little block for what's for dinner. It can look different, but to me, the hybrid of having like a very simple weekly plan, just so that I can look and know overall what's going on this week, helps me in the times when I'm going to be spending maybe most of my time looking at daily plans. If you've experimented with daily planning or weekly planning, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. If you're new to my channel, click subscribe below. See you tomorrow!